Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivamy.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of heroic television or film.
Film today.
It is film today. Today film. We are finishing up our Mechanical Month.
Mechanical Month, as we renamed it halfway through.
Mechanical Month!
Because some of the robots weren't robots.
They weren't robots.
They were cyborgs and androids, and we're like, we need a general term.
Technically, even the robot cop was not 100% a robot cop.
I think they called him a cyborg a bunch of times.
Yeah. He is a titular robot and is not a robot in any way.
I would say a Terminator is much closer to a robot cop than RoboCop.
Yes. They have their own type of rules and justice that they are trying to enact, but they are a robot enforcer of some decision that has been made.
They are a robot following some kind of rule, and they have a gun.
Yeah.
And also in Terminator 2, he was just a cop.
He was. Oh yeah, because he's not. Well, I mean, he's still a robot.
No, but he hid himself as a cop. He pretended to be a cop when he was looking for
Terminator.
Terminator.
Okay,
sorry.
Yes.
No.
Now I am with you.
There was two Terminators.
There's too many.
You know what?
There's too many cooks. Too many Terminators.
Too many cooks, and I don't know the name of Liquid Boy. T1100.
That's a T1000.
He's 1,000.
That's 1,000. Yeah, T1000. That's the smoothest, easiest for me. Schwarzenegger's the T800. That's a classic T800 right there.
See, I always think it's weird that it didn't start at 1,000.
I mean,
if I had
you can't start there.
There's numbers above 1,000. If I was like, which one's the first Terminator and it's going to kill Kyle Reese and I'm sending it back through time, I'm like 1,000.
Yeah, I think that Skynet is starting at the unemotional T1, 2, 3, 4. I think that they do not care about branding. I think at no point Skynet is like, this is the T1X Pro. Like, at no point are they doing an Apple branding type of a thing to really try to sell the shit out of it.
I'm not thinking Skynet. I'm thinking James Cameron, the man.
Human being Jim.
But also, if they don't care about branding, where's fucking Terminator 873? Why is it all just zeros?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there.
Feels unlikely.
Yeah. It really should be like T8.0 type of a thing. Like they release software updates. You can get a version patch. And also, where's 9? 9 didn't exist.
What was 9?
What was 9?
Is this guy 9?
Is this guy? I don't.
Is Marcus 9?
Maybe Marcus is 9.
Because he's very different.
I'm sure the Terminator wiki really walks us through the whole situation.
You know what? I actually bet it does.
I'm willing to bet it does. I'm willing to bet that there is a list of all of the T series that exists out there. But we are talking about Terminator Salvation.
Don't think we mentioned that yet.
I don't think we mentioned that yet. We're talking about Terminator Salvation on the podcast, the 4th in the series of Terminator films.
I know it's the 4th because that's how it's labeled on Amazon Prime. Terminator 4 Salvation. I'm like, that 4 wasn't in there.
Yeah. It is strange that of all of the Terminator stuff, a lot of them have had subtitles instead of numbers. Which makes it seem like they're all trying to start their own thing. But this is a continuation of the first 3.
Yes.
This is actually, like, in many ways, Terminator 4.
Yes,
like, Genesis is like, we've started a new timeline. We're doing our own thing. The TV show, Sarah Connor Chronicles, was its own
totally different thing.
Fucking thing. What was the other one recently? There was the other one.
Oh, the newer one, which, like, felt like it wanted to be part of 1 and 2.
Question mark. But an alternate timeline. That was technically 3.1 or whatever they want it to be. So it's its own thing. But this is Terminator 4. Salvation is what we're talking about today to conclude our Mechanical Month. And by the way, for those of you who liked our RoboCop episode, we did RoboCop 2 over on the Patreon page. So if you want to hear more RoboCop talk, head over to patreon.com/FromSuperheroes and you'll be able to hear that. And a bit of a heads up, next month,
we're excited about next month, you guys.
Next month, we're getting small.
It's going to be a small month.
It's tiny February is what we're doing next month.
It's the shortest month. It's the smallest movies.
Whoa, I didn't even realize it was the shortest month. Oh, shit.
Blowing Andrew's mind? Because here's the real reason we're doing it.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania comes out in February, and to honor Ant-Man, the tiniest of mans, we are doing other shrinking down movies. So
I love this idea.
It's the shortest, smallest, tiniest of months, where we will be doing Fantastic Voyage from 1966. We will be doing Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Very on brand.
And we will be doing Osmosis Jones. Slightly off brand. We'll see.
Everything's so small.
And obviously, we'll be doing Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So we're going to be getting real tiny all next month. Real small, y'all.
I'm excited for February because, as you might have all guessed, we've done both the other Ant-Man movies. So we were like, how do we celebrate Ant-Man, the smallest man?
Let's get small with it. But before we get into today's episode, we want to thank our friends and sponsors of today's episode. We want to thank our friends over at NordVPN.
We love NordVPN. We use them. They are great for premium cybersecurity and to access vast amounts of entertaining content on the internet, wherever you may desire to pull it from.
Absolutely. You're going to have access to additional content, additional entertainment, additional security as well. It's also easy to use. You just hit one click, or you can enable auto connect for 0 clicks. And then there's over 5,400 servers in 60 countries, so you can find a server near you or the specific country or location that you're exactly looking for. And it's great for so many reasons. Accessing different content that might be regionally locked is super beneficial. Also, just adding privacy as well.
I definitely use it for privacy. I love to work at the library, and it's like, you're on a public Wi-Fi. And I'm like, am I? NordVPN. Where am I? You don't know. I'm safe.
And sometimes also I'm just searching weird things due to being in the entertainment industry.
Great one.
Recently, I had an audition for a character that was an online scam artist. That was the character in a piece of fiction, was an online scam artist. And they were like, to figure out this role, you're going to want to look up these online scam artists. And I'm like, I'm going to throw the VPN on for this because I don't want to be fed ads and personalized content forever to buy into a series of online scams. So that was really useful for me to have NordVPN. I hit one click, I was in a different region, it helped shielded me, and I've gotten no personalized ads or content since for the weird thing that I had to research for an acting role, you know?
We've all got a weird thing we have to look up.
We've all looked up something at one point that has messed up our algorithm, and a VPN can help fix that.
Keep your algorithm clean, and it's got amazing speed. It's confirmed to be by speed test that NordVPN is the fastest VPN out there. So whatever weird thing you want to look up, you're going to get it fast.
Do it. So grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/TFS to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan, plus a bonus gift. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. So that's nordvpn.com/TFS. And thank you, NordVPN, for your support.
And for all the weird stuff we search.
Let's get into today's episode. Let's play the theme music and let's talk about Terminator Salvation. All right, so we have seen Terminator Salvation. Have you seen this before?
I have seen it before.
Okay.
Because I had memories of liking it.
So we had both seen it before. I don't think I'd seen it since either theaters or early home release for this movie. Came out in the ripe year of 2009. Diana, did you like it?
I liked it fine. Yeah. It's not great. It's not bad. It is a totally acceptable action movie. It is perhaps a very slightly depressing one because I can see a great movie in it. I can see how this could have been a really, really good Terminator movie, and instead it's a fine Terminator movie, which is sad because there are great Terminator movies. So you're like, oh, you could have been a 1 or a 2. Like, I think it had the characters, I think it had the kind of story, a couple cool ideas. Just like writer's strike really, really killed this movie, and the momentum's weird. It doesn't really flow super well. You don't really super like a lot of the characters, but you kind of like a few of the characters like enough, and the action's just fine enough, and you're kind of like, I'm entertained enough at no point. And then there's some very silly things that I don't know, sincerely, if I loved or hated, and we will discuss that. So I'm gonna give it a fine to a pretty like, and just for the record, we will be talking about the director's cut. 3 extra minutes.
Extra.
If
because
you hear
we were unable to find anything but the director's cut.
I don't know what Mick G did to pull the original version of Terminator Salvation off the internet, but he worked hard to be like, there's 3 extra minutes and you're going to watch them.
Everyone's going to watch it.
In case you didn't know, Mick G directed
this.
So if there's 3 minutes that you don't recall, well, we watched the director's cut.
And we will also tell you the exact 3 minutes because that will be a conversation piece.
We have to talk about them. But that's me. Andrew, did you like Terminator Salvation?
I thought it was tolerable. I don't want to give it a hate. I don't want to give it a like. It was just fine. It was. I do think I can see seeds of something better in here. I disagree with you that it could have been a great Terminator movie. Even the things that I see that are like seeds of something better, it's still just like, oh, it could have been slightly better. At no point am I like, ooh, I would have eaten that up if this was the whole movie. There's just a couple points where I'm like, oh, that would have been a slightly better avenue for the script to explore, or this could have been a slightly better way of doing this. But at no point am I like, there's a gem in the weeds here. I think that it is tolerable, and it could have reached pretty good if they worked
with that exact
pretty
tone of
good.
voice. Yes,
that
okay.
exact type of pretty good.
Not a flat pretty good.
Yeah,
good.
Because as it is right now, I think it's like if anyone talks about the Terminator franchise, it's like, what is the ranking of the Terminator franchise? And like with a lot of franchises like Star Wars, it's like people will be like, well, it's Empire Strikes Back, and they'll know exactly as number one, and people will know exactly where everyone in that franchise ranks for them. With Terminator, it is either 1 or 2 as 1 or 2,
both acceptable,
and then everything else.
Yeah.
And I think this rightfully belongs in the lump group of everything that isn't 1 or 2, but it does have the seed of potentially being good enough to have been everyone's third favorite Terminator, and then there would be everything else. I don't think at any point if this reached its full potential, I don't think at any point would it be comparable to 1 or 2, but it would be everyone's confidently third favorite Terminator movie. Like every online list would be like, that's the third best Terminator movie.
That's a great analysis. I can get behind that. Yeah, I don't think this would ever reach any better by director Mick G, who also directed Charlie's Angels and such. But I think with this budget and cast, except for Sam Worthington, you could have, like, with a different director, you could have quite a good, definitely third Terminator movie. I like that description a lot. I can really get on board with that.
Now, you mentioned Sam Worthington. I actually think he's tolerable in this.
I think he's much better than in Avatar.
He's much better than in Avatar.
Except for that one reshoot scene where he forgot how to do his accent.
There is one particular scene where his accent is bad, but other than that, I actually think his accent is much better in this entire movie than it is in any of Avatar. He's much better at his American accent. I think that this is a much better role for him. He's a much better kind of like fish out of water tough guy than he is in Avatar. Than like this is just
this
even
is
though
the
he's a
same role.
This is the same role, I guess, in a way. But
we were talking about this off mic about how this is just Jake Sully infiltrating another culture yet again.
That culture being robot culture, but he is infiltrating it. So it's similar in many ways, but he plays it better. His accent is better. I still don't think that he needs to be in 2 of the top 5 grossing films of all time. He's not the blockbuster star of a generation, as his box office would lead you to believe. But I think he's pretty good in this.
I also think he's like better in this. Yes. I don't know if I'd go so far as pretty good, but it is after he did Avatar. So he's at like top of like, I've been practicing this American accent for however long it took to do Avatar. I've got it pretty good now. And I don't think the fish out of water element is what I liked about him, which is what you said. I think he is much better just being stoic and flat-faced of like, I'm a killer and a robot. And I'm kind of unshakable because I'm a robot, even though I don't know I'm a robot. I actually think he has the best chemistry with Anton Yelchin, who is just like always so delightful and wonderful. R.I.P. I miss you so much. You're so cool. So yeah, I think he works really well with him. He doesn't work as well with Christian Bale and the girl. But when he's with Anton and or who's playing Kyle Reese, I was like, oh, this is like a buddy cop adventure-y. Like, I get this, and this works for me a lot. So yeah, I would say I think I've seen Sam Worthington in like 3 things. Maybe my favorite Sam Worthington.
He hasn't done a lot. It is wild that in the year 2009 he was in this and Avatar, as we've discussed. A hot year for him being the star of blockbuster movies. And then I feel like no one saw him for 13 years until Avatar 2.
I think he did one of the Gods of Egypt or whatever those like 3 very similar movies that came out did.
Sure.
He was one of the gods.
Okay.
I think, but those weren't huge hits either.
Yes,
if I recall. But yeah, he really did. And he was probably like telling everyone all the time, like, "Oh no, I can't do another gig because we're definitely gonna start Avatar 2 soon. Oh man, the pandemic. When will we ever start Avatar 2? No, I can't book anything else. I got to keep my schedule clear for Avatar 2.
Any moment now, it's really gonna pop off. I think
he eventually did get to do Avatar 2.
Eventually, he did. He's right.
He was right. To keep his schedule clear
on this one. But what a generally stacked cast otherwise as well.
We were freaking out during the opening credits because we put this on the schedule. We're like, oh, this is a Terminator we haven't done.
And obviously, we knew Sam Worthington. We knew Christian Bale. We knew that those were the 2 stars of this film.
We knew that, and we hadn't opened the IMDb to look at anyone else. And the IMDb just kind of, and the credits just kind of keep going.
Well, Anton Yelchin right away.
And we were like, oh, shit. That's great.
Wow.
We love him.
Yeah, and then Helena Bonham Carter.
And we're like, what?
What the hell? Bryce Dallas Howard.
We're like, okay.
Common. Like, Common's popping in.
Common.
I love Common. Common's popping in. Moon Bloodgood, someone who I don't think is a hit, but just has such a recognizable name.
For the only name in the cast we didn't know, we're like, what a banger name.
Yeah.
I can't wait to meet Moon Bloodgood.
Character actor Michael Ironside, who's been in a million things and feels like he should have been in a Terminator before this one type of a thing. But yeah, just a really stacked cast, and all of them are pretty good. None of them really work for the roles that they were cast for, but they're good actors.
Yeah, this might be a very miscast movie, which is a big problem about it. Like, I love Anton Yelchin, and it's weird to say I think he's doing a really good job, but also miscast for Kyle Reese.
I think he's doing a phenomenal voice performance of Kyle Reese.
Doing a really good Michael Biehn.
If this were like a video game or an animated cartoon show or something like that, he's done a pretty solid voice match of Michael Biehn's performance of Kyle Reese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I don't feel any embodiment of Michael Bihn's performance of Kyle Reese, but then I also kind of try to justify it from maybe where I would take it. I'd be like, well, this is a Kyle Reese who has not time traveled and is just a regular dude. And I'm like, Kyle Reese was pretty hopped up on time travel in the first Terminator.
He was pretty
movie.
fucked, yeah.
He was like, I'm from the future, Sarah.
I showed up in a lightning ball.
I was naked.
I'm a goddamn Pokemon. He was
a Pokemon.
Yeah, he was kind of released. Yeah. But none of the casting works. Like Helena Bonham Carter as this weird scientist trying to create human immortality as a subplot of Skynet.
And then
is nothing. Writing wise is nothing, but also just she isn't this character as well. She doesn't play the vulnerability of I'm a doctor who's also dying, who also works with death row inmates and robots. There's too many things, and she's not that person.
She's not that person, and she's such an interesting character actor and such a good actress. Normally her characters are so memorable and quirky and weird that I'm just like, awful over the plate for you, Helena Bonham Carter.
Yeah.
And at the end when she's just the robot monologuing is so blah, and I'm like, why would a robot do a monologue?
Yeah.
Why is Skynet monologuing right now?
Why would it even have an embodiment? And when at the end the robot's like, this is the form that you would feel most comfortable with. The woman you signed your life away to on death row, no one else. And also, why do you need a form at all? You're literally a voice coming through a computer speaker. You could just not have. It's all a waste.
He's a robot. You could just be in his head and be like, no, stop that. You're also a robot.
A talented actor, horribly miscast.
Yeah, and Bryce Dallas Howard, pretty much the same, like who's like pretty good most of the time. I actually think this movie would be very interesting if she had directed it instead of been in it.
I could see that.
I would love to see Bryce Dallas Howard's Terminator 4.
That would be interesting.
She's a very good director.
But as Kate Connor, she's nothing.
So apparently she's Claire Danes' character from Terminator 3.
Which is such a wild recast.
Crazy to keep that continuity.
It's insane to keep that continuity and then also cast an actor who, like, I'm not saying they have to look the same, but like Claire Danes already looks like 6 other actresses. And Bryce Dallas Howard is in no way one of them. Like, if the original actress was Jessica Chastain, you get Bryce Dallas Howard to sub in.
Mm-hmm.
But Bryce Dallas Howard is just not at all like Claire Danes. They've done a horrible job with her wardrobe in this movie. She looks like she always just came from the mall and bought a new outfit, a bland outfit. Mm-hmm. She's not like so extravagant that she looks like an upper class person in the post-apocalypse, but she's always wearing like a brand new plain kind of frumpy dress, but there's no dirt or lived in, and she's underground with the rebels and it doesn't really look right or feel right.
Yeah, she's really clean and her hair is always really well done and her clothes are new, and it's like, no, you're the only one like this. Like, how are you managing this in the apocalypse? Is this your whole day? Is your whole day just clean again, do my hair again, make a new outfit, sewing it up? Like, that would have to be your whole day. Because, like, Moon Bloodgood, at least, is like, she's got, like, that messy apocalypse hair that does take hours, the curls, but it looks natural.
It looks right. Yeah. Moon Bloodgood does look like she exists in this world.
Yeah. So, like, she looks hot and sexy and, like, made up, but also, like, dirty made up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they nailed that. And then it felt like Bryce was like, oh, no dirt for me. No. Oh, no.
Thank you.
I'm playing a doctor, so I'm not getting any dirt.
No, thank you.
No, thank you, says Bryce Dallas Howard.
And some Common in here as well. And I love Common. Doesn't do a good job in this movie.
I actually liked him a lot.
Really?
Yeah. Common's growing on me.
Common is such a... He is like a stoic Nicolas Cage of like, you're giving the worst or best performance at any given time, but without doing the energy of Nicolas Cage. There are times where it's just, I think he forgets how to not talk in the rhythm of poetry. So like, there are times even in this movie where he's just like, I was told to come see you, John Connor, in this room right now where we are, to talk about the robots and how we're going to fight them. And it's not a rhyme, but it's not done.
Not a rhyme.
It's not a rhyme. And I'm like, I don't know if you just left the studio or what, but you forgot how to not talk in a rhythmic, I'm doing a like slam poetry cadence. And it happens with like every second time that I see Common acting, where I'm like, you forgot how to talk.
But I really like it.
But his energy is fun.
I find it very compelling. Like, it's so interesting and poetic. Like, I would love to see genuinely Common do Shakespeare. Like, he would crush it. It would be the most intriguing, like, captivating Shakespeare performance ever. And even just walking into the apocalypse, I'm like, all right, it's the apocalypse, but he hasn't lost his groove. Like, he's upbeat and he's keeping it tight.
And then there is also rounding out the cast. We haven't really discussed the famous Christian Bale role where he was recorded being absolutely psychotic towards a cinematographer.
He absolutely was, or the lighting guy, or whoever it was. He was very mean to a staff member a crew member on the set, and did a crazy long yelling rant.
An absolute tirade.
Absolute tirade, which isn't great. And then he's like fine as John Connor. Like, I actually think Christian Bale's a very good actor, and this is kind of like a little bit of nothing.
Yeah. This is one of those, like, in no scenario was it worth you completely losing your shit on another human being. But I'm like, at no point watching this am I like, oh man, this role must have pushed you to the edge. I'm like, you're really just kind of a guy who walks into a room and says the things that the script said. And you do so in a way that is fine, but not in a way that I'm like, I bet he was tense on set trying to really figure out this character.
I mean, like, there is layers to this John that I think is interesting on paper that Christian Bale is not bringing out in any way, which is what makes it so weird that he snapped. Like, I think it is so interesting from a character perspective that John Connor knows he is the savior of humanity and has to try to convince just a few people without sounding like crazy and full of himself. Like, that is such a hard thing to do, to be like, I'm the savior of humanity. I didn't decide I was. My mom did. But also there's time travel and I have to save my dad. And like, there's so much of a burden on your shoulders growing up that way. Like, John Connor is a very complicated, interesting character, but he's not here. But on paper, he really is.
And he's also, it's not just one of those time loop things where it's like, I'm the leader because I'm the leader and I was told I'm the leader, so now I am the leader because there's no other option. It's like in being told it as a kid and being told by Kyle, every story is that he is a leader who has earned it and doesn't have a cult like prophecy. He's not just a guy who everyone's like, we know about the time travel thing and we worship this dude. He is someone who, like, people who don't believe in that get behind him because they're like, you're legitimately a good soldier and you save people and you treat people right.
Yeah, this isn't like a Luke Skywalker chosen one, like he has some kind of magic power. It is just, in the stories that Kyle says, you are just a good leader. Yeah. And I think that mostly comes out in the parts that I actually really like the most in this movie, which is the radio messages. I actually think they're like quite nice and powerful. Like, if you're hearing this, you are the resistance is a really nice message. When he gets people to not attack the base because the prisoners will be killed, I think is really, really nice. I think those are like his actual best performances, John. And I think it's the most moving parts of the movie of like, oh, this is him just genuinely being a leader. This isn't him just trying to save Kyle. He is trying to save humanity.
Yeah.
So I think at those moments, I'm like, oh, Christian Bale is doing a good job. This is actually kind of moving. And then when he's interacting with any human who's not and he's not on the radio, he's kind of just blah in a little bit Batman voice.
Yeah, a little bit Batman voice, a little
fighting
blah.
it, like you can tell that he's like, don't go full Batman, don't go full Batman. It's a little bit Batman. Fuck. It was a little bit Batman.
He's trying to like whisper in the Batman a little bit more, like he's keeping it lower and a little bit more whispery.
Yeah, like he's like, I need to be a gravelly, tough guy, but I can't be Batman.
Well, I do also think that that's how he knows how to do an American accent, that he really places it further down in his chest and just like guttural back of the throat, and that's where he keeps that voice of his.
I don't know, because he's also a very charming Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne does not sound like Batman in the Nolan movies.
Oh, that's a good point.
And
yeah,
it's a much higher register when he's playing like fake Bruce Wayne as like a socialite.
That's fair. You know what? That's fair.
So I think he can do both, and he was just kind of like, I
Thrown
didn't actually figure it out on this one.
Yeah, he didn't quite figure it out, and also it's just one of the problems behind the scenes of this movie, for those of you who don't know, is that it is Christian Bale being one of them. Obviously, the famous yelling at the cinematographer over the lighting during a rehearsal or a blocking or whatever it was. Audio leaked. That was an incredibly famous thing. But also, when they were making this movie, Christian Bale was offered the role of Marcus, the role eventually played by Sam Worthington, and didn't want it. And was like, you have a cameo by John Connor at the end. I want to play John Connor.
Marcus was the lead originally, like the sole lead.
The sole lead was Marcus, and at the end, there's a little cameo by John Connor. And Christian Bale was like, I don't want to play Marcus. I want to play John Connor. But also, I want the role to be as big as Marcus. So rewrite the entire movie. Also, McGee, I don't trust you to be a talented enough director to do this. Also, I'm screaming at the cinematographer. Also, I need you to rewrite this so I'm in more of it. Also, it's during a writer's strike. Mm-hmm. So this is Christian Bale openly in interviews criticizing the director, even before the movie came out, just being like,
Told him to his face, I don't think you can do this.
I don't think you're talented enough to do this. Yelling at the cinematographer, choosing a different role, demanding rewrites, and then a writer's strike happening and half-finished rewrites not really getting done, and then blaming everyone other than himself. Mm-hmm. I would say that like at the center of the vortex of this movie collapsing is Christian Bale's ego.
And I think that's what I was going back to about how you can find a good Terminator movie in here. I think without Christian Bale interference, usually it's studio interference. This might be the first actor interference that has really tanked a movie. Mm-hmm. But Christian Bale's interference absolutely like made this movie worse, because you can feel that John Connor and Marcus are in two separate movies.
Absolutely.
You can feel that there is a second movie built around the Marcus movie to star John Connor. They don't interact in any way.
And to the point where one of the scenes that they both have very different lighting on one another, and clearly they weren't filmed together. So I'm like, I don't know if there was beef or that, like, maybe did Worthington not like that Christian Bale rewrote the movie for him to be the star and a different character, and it made the movie? I don't know. But yeah, they're in two totally different movies, and even when they're in the same movie, they seem to be filmed on separate days at separate places.
Which is so weird, because one of the other things I like about this movie in theory, I think I like this movie a lot more in theory than it actually is that the original ending, which they also changed. And I think the original ending is great. Where John Connor dies and Marcus puts his skin on, I guess.
They put him in the face-off machine.
They put him in the face-off machine. Marcus being just like a robot who's gonna can change his skin easily, I guess. And he becomes John Connor and he leads the resistance and takes over his life for him. And I actually really like that ending. I think that's very interesting and cool.
I couldn't agree more. I think that original ending is a better ending, and also a really good ending for a movie and a franchise about time travel. Like, this whole movie is kind of about a lot of people being like, you think you can't die because of this weird time travel prophecy. You can die. Like, fate hasn't made you immortal. Like, fate won't save you. And the idea would be like, yeah, fate won't save you. The only reason that you were alive to send back Kyle Reese is because a robot pretending to be you who can't be killed is the one who can't be killed.
And they even already laid in enough pipe about it. Like, his girlfriend's already pregnant. So if he dies, he already has kids to continue on. I think he's got kids in one of the future movies or whatever. So you don't need the robot to be able to have kids to continue on John Connor's line. So it's oh, you've already seeded that in. That's interesting. It's it also would explain why the Terminators in the future just can't kill John Connor. He's a fucking Terminator. They keep trying to probably send assassins after him for the next 20 years. And he's like, I'm a Terminator. You can't kill me. It'd be really hard.
Yeah.
They keep wiping out probably whoever's hanging out with him. And he just walks out fine because he's a fucking Terminator. So I think it also just makes a lot of sense about how that could be the man who leads the rebellion. And he's like, don't tell anyone I'm a Terminator. Shh. Secret Terminator.
Secret Terminator the whole time.
Secrets. So yeah, I think that's just such a better ending. So it just makes me sad to think that I'm oh man, this movie could have just been Marcus and Kyle, and I think Kyle Reese Anton as him is fun and charming and could be in this movie a lot more. And then that ending would be the ending, and I'm that actually sounds like a really fun, dope movie.
Yeah, I agree. I think that there is at least something interesting to explore with the Marcus storyline. There's definitely problems with the Marcus storyline of they never really explore you're a death row inmate for killing 3 people?
Why? Why weren't you just a guy dying of something who donated your body to science?
And one of them was he was I killed my brother and 2 cops. And I'm okay, in what situation? Do I like you or not like you? What's going on?
Yeah,
are you a misunderstood, I'm taking the fall for something? But it's totally unexplored. But that also might be we needed to delete stuff to make room for Christian Bale scenes. So that's pretty unexplored. I like the idea of someone kind of waking up in this future, dealing with identity, kind of hating oneself, being a robot, not knowing how to deal with that. I think there's something strong there. Once again, the Helena Bonham Carter plot just does not make sense of in the 80s or 90s, whenever it originally was, we made a robot man as a backup plan for a thing that didn't exist yet.
Yeah.
For a human cyborg program of the computer program that destroys the world to later infiltrate to get Kyle Reese and John Connor because reasons. And it's I know that they know leader of the resistance, and also I guess they don't explain this. They've figured out that Kyle Reese is somehow his past dad.
That's huge.
There's no reason for them to know. That's something we as an audience know, and it is not at all something the robots know for any reason.
Kyle would be dead so fast.
Yes.
They would have murdered this kid 18 times over before he got sent back to Sarah Connor.
So why they know he's his time dad, I don't know, because
time dad.
John Connor doesn't even tell anyone. So that makes no sense. And then they capture Kyle Reese, and they're and now we have him, which means that we could kill him. Mm-hmm. So let's take him to a different place, and then we'll kill him later because we're the robots. None of it tracks.
Are you a James Bond villain, Skynet?
They really just kind of waste time until everyone saves one another with no particular direction or reason.
Yeah, it is so lost on me how these could be the most logical creatures in the world. They're robots. They don't have any, and like the whole thing is they don't have emotions. That's why they had to make Marcus. Like we had to make a human Terminator because we don't have emotions. We can't infiltrate. No one believes that we're humans. Seems to be the entire plot. But then they're just so dumb. They're like, we don't kill Kyle because we need him as bait. I'm like, John Connor was coming if he was alive or dead. He thought he was here. We've trapped John Connor in our facility. This is called Skynet Central. This is Skynet Central. We've trapped him in there. We've sent exactly one Terminator to go kill him. Instead of every Terminator, you're in a factory that makes Terminators, and you sent one to kill him.
Or pressing the self-destruct button.
Also, so easy.
Instead, they wait for every human, including John and Kyle, to escape, and then get bombed when they could just blow themselves up unemotionally at any given time. None of it makes any... Well, I think just adding this Helena Bonham Carter, I'm a robot, but I have emotions... And it's like, but I don't have emotions, but I've got a wild, goofy personality inside of a computer. It makes this movie feel almost like Resident Evil films.
Oh, it did
where
feel
Resident
very
Evil films
Resident
love
Evil.
that, where it's just like, I'm a robot, but I'm also your daughter's brain. And it's like,
and
what?
I want you to, and I need to convince you to join the robot side.
And I'll convince you to do it by making you love me. Why is a robot like this? I don't know. And that does have a place in hammier things. Mm-hmm. But the rest of this movie isn't hammy.
I mean, motorcycles shot out of that mech Terminator.
That's pretty hammy.
That's
hammy in the right way. I dug that. I actually liked how stupid all of that was.
It was really stupid. It kind of doesn't fit the film it's in. It felt very Transformers. But it was really fun. But like it was also just so dumb. They're in the middle of the desert and like literally middle of the desert, and they're inside an old 7-Eleven, and then a giant 50-foot mech Terminator snuck up on them.
Like a War of the Worlds, the biggest fucking Terminator possible.
And they're like, "Oh, we didn't see you there." And they get snuck up on by a giant Terminator. And then they try to get away.
Even though they do not get snuck up on by the mute child, who is incredibly quiet and 3 feet tall. But a 500-foot tall monster walks up to them.
Yeah, and they don't hear a thing. Even though, like, as it like chases people and does stuff, we're like, no, it's really loud. It's
the loudest thing in the movie.
It's not like silent the whole time and like creepy in a way where it like never makes noise. It's very, very loud. And then they start to get away, and motorcycle Terminators come out of its legs, which is actually pretty dumb.
Yes, yeah, it feels like a Zord at that point.
It did feel like a Megazord.
Yeah, it filmed like a Transformers movie, but with like the style and design of a Power Rangers Zord.
Yeah, of a Power Rangers bad guy. Yeah. It was cool. And then the continuity was very, very bad because there was only 2 motorcycles, and then all of a sudden there was 3 motorcycles. And I don't usually am picky about that, but it was really clear there were only 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there were some edits there, and just generally the action in this movie is pretty poorly directed, I think.
Yeah.
Where there's no sense of geography or like where anyone is going or why. Like that chase scene, it's like, oh no, Kyle Reese is hanging out of the door. He almost got hit by a bus. And I'm like, did he? You didn't show me the bus coming. You just cut to a bus. And then Kyle was like, whoa. I'm like, I guess you kind of told that story, but all of the geography is bad. It's hard to follow. It's just kind of bland, constantly noisy action, but nothing's really going on at any time.
I actually think I kind of liked the action and the choreography for the most part. I think its problem was every action scene just kind of fizzles out. There's no action scene that has a hard, like, boom, we're done, and now we're moving on to the next. It is kind of like, okay, we got the 3 motorcycle ones, and now we'll, like, lightly fight the big one, and then a plane's gonna come and like attack it, but like the energy is all completely fizzled out of this fight scene. But like for a while it was really good. There are some clever things, like when what's her name? What's the character's name? Well, Moonblood Good. When she like sets off the mines with that explosive wire, I'm like, that's cool as hell.
That was cool, yeah.
There's a couple like cool ideas for action in here. But yeah, I think every action scene just kind of completely fizzles out. Like even at the very end when John's fighting the big Terminator, and I'm like, have we finished this fight like 4 times already? And like it's getting less intense, and like they cover him in lava, and I'm like, he's still not dead, but he's pretty much dead. He can't move. It just never really knows when it's done.
Yeah. I really do think that like if it felt like, especially that final fight scene against the Terminator, and there are a few moments in this movie where it feels like it's kind of like a heartless nod to the first 3 movies.
Oh, there is a lot of that.
But with no real charm or thought put into it to be like, it is in a Terminator factory, like the 3rd one. And it's also in an iron mill, like the 2nd one. And it's also in a production plant, like the 1st one. And it's like all 3 of them in the way that it's kind of the same place. And it's kind of the same beats. Look, John's crawling up the stairs while a slightly injured Terminator walks up it while lava sparks behind them. It's just like that scene from 2. And I'm like, okay, but why? What emotion does this convey? It's just a lot of, and I think that's why it feels long too, where it's like, and now he's frozen like the T-1000, and now he's melted like the T-800, and now you're stuck in the processing plant. And it's like, I get it. These are all beats we've seen before.
But what's this movie?
Well, what's this one doing? What is this one?
Yeah, and like I also feel like there were so many beats in a couple of the action scenes, and then a couple in the like monologue-y like character moments when they're like doing impressive stuff. And like so many of these moments in this movie just feel like they were made for the trailer.
Oh,
like there are a lot of moments that I'm like, this doesn't feel integrated into the rest, but it felt like you were like, this scene's so badass when he says, you're part of the resistance now. And I'm like, that was for the trailer, okay. Or like, I'm humanity's last hope. Or like the scene where they're like face to face in the big silo, Marcus and John. I'm like, this is just for the trailer. It doesn't match anything else that's happened in the movie. The style isn't the same as anything else we've seen. It looks cool, and if the rest of the movie was like this, I'd think it was cool. But there's so many things, and I'm like, that was for the trailer, and that was for the trailer, and that was for the trailer, and you didn't really make a movie, McG.
No.
You made a really long trailer.
Yep. And also just like, a really long trailer. And I think McG is a good director at making a really long trailer. And there are just some more of the like the trailer bait kind of like heartless nod stuff. And some of it is like, oh, that's, if you're a fan of the franchise, that's kind of fun. That's kind of clever. Like John Connor with a cassette player playing Guns N' Roses, just like in the first one, and then stealing a motorcycle, like in the 2nd one, and then like the motorcycle launching off of a bridge and onto a transport truck. It's like, that was actually kind of a cool shot, and that was all right. And then there's stuff like John saying, "I'll be back," which is like, obviously that has become such a pop culture zeitgeist line, but I just hated it.
You hated it.
I hated it because like Arnold can say it forever because it's a character that said it emotionlessly and meaninglessly and just kind of forced it in, and it always works in that context. But in the context of like, John is now saying to his wife the thing that his guardian said to him before dying that day. So it's like, but what? So that should have some emotion or meaning. It isn't a catchphrase to John Connor. To us, the audience going public, it's a catchphrase that Arnold Schwarzenegger says. To John Connor, it is what his essentially dad/dog/robot said to him the day he died. So like that shouldn't be a fun wink and a nod to the audience.
I guess, but hear me out. This is maybe why I like it, because I think the original idea, it really fits, because this is a sequel to 3. And in 3, the term Arnold Schwarzenegger comes back again. He's not himself, but he's still him. And the end of this movie is supposed to be John Connor comes back as a robot in the original script. So he was going to come back, but in a different way.
Does that happen in 3?
Yeah, in 3, there's a different T-800 who comes back, but he doesn't have any memories of T2.
Are you thinking of, wasn't that Dark Fate?
No, that was 3.
That was 3? God damn, all of these kind of...
they all mix together in 1 and 2.
And alternate timelines become a timey-wimey thing. But okay.
That's too many layers that I'm giving it credit for.
And obviously, if that were in this movie at the time it was released, no one would be mixing up the alternate timelines that don't exist yet. Yeah.
Okay. But
I see what you're saying.
like, he knew that guy. And also, people just say, I'll be back.
People do. You know
You know what? People just come back.
It is a common combination of 3 words. I'll give you that.
It's not that unique.
It is not
as
that
a catchphrase.
One thing that I did find unique that I actually did like was Marcus's skeletal design.
Oh.
So Marcus, the human cyborg, I like that he doesn't look like any of the other robot designs. It does make it feel like he was an early and weird rejected prototype that was like a bit more human than what Skynet actually wants out of its functionality. I kind of like that, like, it was such a stark and weird, like, structure that he had within inside of his body. It did make it feel different and kind of othered, and I think that was like a good feeling for what they were going for the character of Marcus.
Yeah, I think it really worked because like he's also been alive for so long. He got cryogenically frozen in 2003, so he must be a super early. Like, I don't know why they're stealing humans today if they've had a guy in cryo since 2003.
I don't even fully know why they were stealing humans today.
I think they were stealing humans today to keep the experiments that they're doing on Marcus going.
Okay.
Like, they're going to keep trying to make human Terminators. But they felt like a lot of humans. Didn't feel like you needed that many.
No.
But that's what I thought was happening. I thought they were making more Marcuses. But yeah, he's got a cool design. Like, the idea that he still has a heart is very interesting. Because like I definitely think like I think her name's Madison in the most recent Dark Fate Terminator. I don't think that girl had a heart. I think she just only had a brain in a robot body.
Yeah.
So like the idea that he has a heart and in there is very interesting. I love the really subtle like things they do about how he's a robot. Like we probably know from the beginning because we're an audience and we're like he died in 2003. He's definitely a robot, but like he never eats when anyone eats. And he hasn't noticed he's a robot, but there's these little hints. Like
I did like that a lot.
He doesn't get tired when they're fighting. He like kicks people's ass so easily. But like I love him not realizing he's a robot, and it's actually kind of interesting and cool. I think it's a very neat idea of this guy just being like, no, I'm just not hungry, and not being like, why am I not hungry? Just no self-analysis on this man whatsoever.
I do think that was well done as well. Yeah. The I'm subtly not realizing I'm a robot was well executed. Most of the Marcus stuff works. It's really more the John Connor storyline that doesn't.
What about Marcus and Moon Bloodgood?
That doesn't work. And the extra 3 minutes the director's cut added is the worst, where Moon Bloodgood just takes her top off for no reason.
No goddamn reason. This made this movie from a PG-13 to an R. And McG was like, you gotta put it back in.
You gotta put those 3 minutes back in. And Moon Bloodgood, in the rain, it's raining. It's pouring, a torrential downpour. She takes her top off and then goes over to a stagnant pool of disgusting water and washes her boobs in it. In the rain?
Just her boobs. Not her hair, not her face, not her clothing. She's like, my titty's dirty.
In this rusty brown water in the middle of a downpour.
She looks over at Marcus and they never bang. So what is this scene even for?
Yeah.
And I think had she almost just been assaulted, or is that about to happen?
That's about to happen.
Okay, it was about to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just the worst scene. I'm like, this poor girl. They made her go out in the pouring rain and take her top off, and I don't know if it was supposed to imply there was a cut on her boob maybe, and she was cleaning it out with this dirty, rusty water, but
as opposed to the rainwater that's falling.
It was raining so hard.
Yeah.
She could have cleaned it off with rainwater, no problem. Dab at it with your own shirt.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, that's got it.
And it was a cut on her arm, I believe, as well. There was no reason to wash your boobs in that moment.
Boob based.
Yeah. Pretty heavily boob based. And just a scene with no continuity, a scene that made no sense. It was like, let's stop and set up camp. And then there just was 9 barrel fires going on in the scene in a torrential downpour. You stopped to make camp, and in a torrential downpour started 9 barrel fires, then washed your boobs. Then several men came up to assault you, and then it just wasn't raining or wet anymore. And so it's like, okay, I guess.
They were all bone dry now. Same night,
bone dry. It is not raining, more barrel fires, and now new dudes show up, and they're like, let's go. And then I guess they leave and get far enough to set up camp again. And now there's more multiple barrel fires around them.
Yeah, because Marcus kills those guys. And I guess they were like, we don't want to sleep where the dead bodies are. So we're going to go even further. Because where they spend the night is way different than where they killed the guys.
Yeah.
So, like, these scenes should have been cut. I'm actually pretty offended that Mick G was like, put the titty scenes back
in. Let's make it R.
And pull the other versions of this movie off the internet.
So terrible.
Must have the R-rated version. It's my vision.
It's the vision. It is a vision for cleaning boobs in the rain that do not require that in any way for any particular reason at all. Yeah, it's gross and it's dumb.
It was the worst part of the film by far. Worse than the one scene that we briefly talked about where Sam Worthington completely lost his accent. What the hell happened, Sam Worthington?
Yeah, I mean, that is clearly a reshoot scene because it's the one where...
Oh, he's not in the same room as Christian Bale.
He's not in the same room as Christian Bale. It's like him and Christian Bale are talking to each other and they're like 1 inch away from one another. And if you look at it, each of them, the light is on the wrong side of the opposite side of the face on each of them. So it's just like it doesn't... where light is coming from doesn't make any sense in the scene, and also it's not super well composited
either way. Yeah,
so I don't know what that was about, if that was maybe the first shot, the last shot. It seems like a reshoot, but either way, Sam did not have his accent that day.
No, it was pretty noticeable.
Yeah, so that one didn't quite work. I think that like there were I liked the I liked the motorcycles. I liked the giant mech Zord. I liked the T-600s. The sloppier ones that were in the wastelands.
Okay.
You know, the ones that they look kind of like the other robot guys that we've seen, but they're a bit bulkier and more awkward. The one that gets like crushed by a falling piano or whatever from Kyle Reese.
The one who gets home alone.
Yeah, the one who gets home alone. Yeah.
I like Home Alone Kyle Reese.
Home Alone Kyle Reese is pretty fun. I like that. I don't know why the kid is here in this at all.
I don't know.
Has no impact on the plot whatsoever.
All about just to make I think people feel more like heroes when they're saving children.
I think
it's kind of just a plot device you put in of like, I don't know, they're a huge hero. Save it a kid.
I feel like it's a very antiquated plot device as well, where like it is something that it's weird that it was in a movie from 2009 because it does feel very 80s and 90s to be like, well, there's a kid here, so you don't want all these people to be slaughtered. And I'm like, but I wouldn't want all these people to get slaughtered if they were adults. I don't understand why a kid automatically you think that a kid makes me more sympathetic to the loss of human life? ?
You misjudge that I know children are little adults and that adults used to be children.
Yeah.
You've forgotten that I know how this game works. She will eventually be older, and either I shouldn't give a shit about her then, or I should give a shit about everyone who used to be a child.
Yeah.
And I choose the latter.
Choose the latter.
I like everyone who used to be a kid.
The last plot device that I did really like, that I will say, I like the fake frequency to shut them down. I think that was a very smart and cool plot device. That idea of like, there's a secret frequency that shuts down robots. No, there's not. We just told humans that. Now you're broadcasting a signal and we know where all of your secret bases are. Awesome. What an awesome trick.
It is such a weird scene when you find this out of like, oh, wow, what a great way to fool them, to really fuck them over, to kill them all. Also, we sent one Terminator after John Connor and we didn't kill Kyle Reese even though we have been a holding cell. I'm like, come on, half your plan was so good.
Half of it was brilliant.
Yeah, and like the fact that this plan is the reason that like all the leadership in the submarine gets exploded, and that's why John Connor is now the leader of the resistance, because he like didn't want to be a part of it. And it's like, it's not fate. It really is just like he chose humanity. Yeah. And it saved him in this weird way.
Yeah, I see that.
Which is actually like a nice kind of theme that's happening here. Like the guys who chose to bomb like what was left of humanity get bombed in return. Yeah,
I see what you're saying. I think that there's definitely something to that. in reality, it's the people who followed bad intel that got killed.
I mean, they were still willing to bomb the place, even though there was human prisoners in there.
That is true. That is true too. And there's no reason that everyone else around the world had to delay their attacks. But okay.
Yeah, were they all attacking the same facility?
I think they were all attacking facilities around the world simultaneously.
Oh, I thought they were all coming to that one.
That was dumb.
It was unclear.
That was dumb. But the signal thing I thought was a clever
The signal
thing
was really, really smart. I'm like, oh man, these machines are a little bit smart.
Yeah. So I liked
Scary.
that. I liked that. And that's my big like for it. That's all I'm really feeling about Terminator Salvation. What else do you have to say? You feeling good?
I am feeling pretty good. I have one final quick like that is just a real me thing, where halfway through this movie, I got really annoyed because the Terminators are like such better technology than the humans have. But the Terminators aren't like from the future. They're not aliens. I'm like, why is their technology so much better? Like, they don't need fuel. They don't need batteries. I don't know why it bothered me in this movie for the first time. I guess because it's the first time the Terminators haven't time traveled.
Right.
I'm like, we should be on level playing ground.
Yeah.
Why are their ships better? And why are they this better? And then at the very end, they were like, oh, they're powered by nuclear fusion. And that's why they just like are unstoppable and never need power. I'm like, oh, fuck, you answered my question. Way to go, movie.
You did it again.
Right at the very end. And then it was a plot point of why they blow up so easily if you hit them just right.
If you hit them just right.
If you get that nuclear fusion reactor just right.
Yeah. They all have one of those in them, huh?
I guess.
Whoa.
Oh, shit. I feel like the Terminators in the past should have blown up a little bit more.
Yeah, lava diffuses it, I guess.
They got
Don't worry about it.
We lavaed it. It's fine.
Just don't worry.
Or you can just crush it in the crusher.
Yeah, just crush it in the crusher or throw it in the lava and everything's going to be just fine.
So yeah, just a little weird plot point that I was like, I like that.
Very interesting.
Thanks, movie.
Huh.
I hope the original writer put that in, who then got rewritten to shit.
Who knows? A lot of rewrites, some rewrites that weren't incorporated, and a goddamn writer's strike.
Oh, man. Every time you see something weird and then you find out it came out during writer's strike, it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yep.
That answers all the questions.
Yep, that answers a lot of what's going on.
Pay writers.
Yeah.
Or else you get 2008 to 2009.
Yeah, you could have had a good second Terminator trilogy, and instead you you didn't settle up with the Writers Guild. So
no, this was not the salvation the Terminator franchise was looking for.
Let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? So now that we discussed everything we discussed, what would you change about this if you could change anything? Before we do ask that final question, we will remind you, as we do every week.
Every single week.
Please rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict, wherever you might get your podcasts. It's a simple, free way to support the podcast. Basically, when you leave us a rating and review, it moves us up the charts. It means that we're more likely to get recommended to a new listener. And then also when a new listener finds us, they read those reviews, and positive reviews make it more likely that they'll hit subscribe and give us a chance.
Give us a chance. Help us get a chance from other people. We'd really appreciate it. It warms us our hearts. It helps us succeed. It's a free way to support us, and it would be so lovely if you do that for us and any other podcasters you listen to and love while you have your review service open wherever you are reviewing the show.
There we go. And as well, if you want to support the podcast monetarily, you can do that over on Patreon, which is a monthly subscription service. Over at Patreon, you can subscribe at whatever level is in your budget. You can do $1, $5, $10, up to infinity, whatever is in your budget. And when you do that, you're going to get cool exclusive bonuses depending on your subscription level. Even at the $1 level, you get our webcomic texts from superheroes a day early at the $1 level. And also those $1 ones, they add up. So even if you only have $1 in the budget, but you want to support the network and this podcast, do the $1. Those add up and make a huge difference. And as well, at the $10 level, the hero level, you get an exclusive bonus episode of this podcast every single month. This month, for Mechanical Month, we had RoboCop 2 was our Patreon bonus. That's available right now when you sign up at the hero level, and you also get immediate access to the full back catalog as well.
And all those episodes are things we've never covered on the regular podcast. They're ad-free, and they're super fun. So check it out if you want more Talk to Superheroes in your life, and you got a few bucks.
And that's all available over at patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That is patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. And now, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change, Diana? What would you change?
I feel like I have done this once before, and I can't remember what. But my change is going back to the original script. I really like the ending where Marcus becomes John Connor. I think that's so interesting. I think it could be a very interesting take on how humanity just cannot be overtaken, even if you take his flesh body away. He is still human, and he's still gonna fight robots and be the leader against them. I think there's so much interesting stuff there. So at the end, John Connor dies and Marcus does take over his body. To kind of get there a little faster and easier, I feel bad I hate when I remove female characters. I'm going to remove Moon Bloodgood, and I would say Marcus just meets John Connor right after Kyle's taken. And neither of them know he's a Terminator for about 15 or 20 minutes. They build trust. They actually get to know each other. They start the infiltration of Skynet together. And during the infiltration, in the first stage, he finds out Marcus is a Terminator after he's injured. And then they have to deal with it then. And they've already created a rapport. They've created trust. And they just don't know what to do with this information. And kind of just all moves a little faster. I think all the stuff in the desert with Moon Bloodgood kind of slowed us down a lot. I think he could have just met John Connor right after Kyle was taken because the resistance fighters come in and help them.
Yeah.
But Kyle's already been taken. So I think he could have just gone with the resistance right then. We cut about 20 minutes out of this movie.
As opposed to we had a crash. Now let's have a 2-day walk through the desert.
Yeah, and then she rescues him because Connor's going to kill him because Connor meets him as a Terminator. Of course, he's not going to trust him. So I'm just going to completely remove her and make it a story about Marcus and John learning about each other and trusting each other. So the big reveals are more impactful. And that's my biggest change. And then when they actually change bodies at the end, I'm you guys have spent time together and you trust each other and you're friends and you're sad. I need a bromance. My movies need bromance. So yeah, I'm going to cut some time out.
Interesting.
Those are my big changes.
I like that a lot. That I love. I love getting there a little bit quicker. I love pairing them up because if it's going to be a movie with two leads, it should actually be a movie with two leads who interact and have been on set together, filming a movie together.
Unless this is a real Rock Jason Statham, or was it Rock and Vin Diesel?
Rock and Vin. Yeah. So maybe it's that, but I love that. It saves time, and I love getting there quicker and getting these leads together. I think that's really smooth.
Thank you so much. Andrew, what would you change?
I got a few different things going on here. I would piggyback off of yours, and I think that Marcus and John need to be characters who are working together. So I'm definitely all about that. One small, just a quick aside change that really bothers me is they have a line early on between Kyle Reese and Marcus where Kyle Reese is the difference between us and the robots? We bury our dead. And then throughout the movie, they never bury their dead.
Not once.
And then at the end of the movie, Marcus is the difference between us and them? We have a heart. And I'm why wasn't... It's the same line, but it's not a callback, and it's just a completely different idea. That bothers me. Synchronize that fucking line from beginning to end.
Of course.
Is my big thing.
What a clear indication that it's two different scripts.
Yeah, right? Two different, two bookends that are not the same line.
My bookends don't match.
Are close enough to be awkward. So I want to just synchronize those lines. But I would say my big change, to piggyback off of yours, is that John and Marcus, they meet up. They're trying to get Kyle back together. I love this. They're friends. They develop a friendship. Oh no, he's a robot. One of the things I liked in this movie was playing the tape recordings from Sarah Connor, from the original movies. These notes to future John and not sure what to tell him. And I think that Linda Hamilton does a great performance with these voice roles. And I think her resentment and fear and hate of the robots, because the T-800 was something that John was young and naive and kind of was you're a father to me, and Sarah was very much a do not trust this thing. This is an object we have overridden, and it is to be destroyed. It is ruthless and it has no value to us. I want Marcus and John to be together and for Marcus to hear those tapes. And that's how he's catching up on the world and society, is that he's hearing tapes from someone from his own time explaining and laying out the future. Great way to lay the exposition of the world that we live in, and a great way for him to learn to hate himself after it is revealed what he is. Because it's not just then the body horror of like, there's robot parts in me. Oh no. It is the body horror of like, I am the thing that nuked civilization. I've been listening to Sarah Connor's tapes with John. I'm a monster. I have no purpose other than destruction. And I think that like that existential horror of I have been conditioned to hate who I truly am is way more interesting. And then it gets Sarah and John really involved in the mix.
I like that a lot. I think that's very interesting, especially because I like what you're saying about these tapes, because I think she made most of them after 1. So even after 2, she still hates Terminator. She's like, they're robots that are here to kill us. I don't care if this one was nice. But after 1, she especially did, because she hadn't met a nice Terminator yet who tried to protect her. So I think all these tapes would be like so anti-robot.
Yeah.
Would be, so yeah, that would work really well and like really kind of bring all of the movies together in a very natural way.
Thank you.
Love
I
that.
think so.
that.
I think so. Yeah, Sarah's the through line. Sarah needs to be.
She needs to be. She always should be.
Yep, you need more Sarah.
Love that.
Well, that is going to be it for this episode on Terminator Salvation. Thank you very much for listening. As always, we are going to be back next week and next month. We are getting real small, real tiny. Just a tiny little. We're down here. Look down here. We're small.
We're gonna sound like this for a whole hour.
The whole hour. We are gonna get.
Oh, no.
Oh no! Everyone hates it. We're gonna get real small all next month. We are doing shrinking down movies to celebrate Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and we're gonna be starting it off next week with Fantastic Voyage from 1966.
Perhaps our oldest movie we've ever done, I believe.
I think that is quite possible.
Going into the old archives of oldies.
That's right. So we're going to talk about Fantastic Voyage next week on the pod. In the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, you can find me on Instagram at Ivimey, Ivimey.
You can find me at Words of Diana on Twitter.
And you can find both of us most places at From Superheroes. And we'll talk to y'all next time.
Bye.